What is up, Kanto University? My name is PD Winnall, and jumping straight into the introduction, this series of videos is going to be an in-depth analysis of everything you can find on a certain route or area in the Pokemon games. This includes, but is not limited to, trainer battles, world Pokemon encounterable, and every item available on a route. Today's introduction video is going to feature Route 19 in the Unova region, the first route available to be visited in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and is located between Aspertia City and Flossie Town. I bet this route is very familiar to you and perhaps requires no introduction, so feel free to suggest what areas I should cover next in the comments. Slipping on my words. Anyway, first I'm going to tell you about the wild Pokemon you can encounter. First, starting with the simple wild grass. There are two Pokemon you'll be able to find here right out of the gate, and these two Pokemon are going to be Patrat and Purloin. Now, Patrat, in my personal opinion, is just your typical generic normal type Pokemon you will encounter at the start of the game, and is very, very underwhelming, even once evolved. I'd simply say avoid this Pokemon, as there are much more useful Pokemon you can have on your team. The same can be said of Purloin, except this can be a little more useful, as this possesses actually very good speed and attacking stats, and is an interesting type this early on in the game. There's certainly better dark types available, but feel free to use this early game if you please. In the Rustling grass, there is going to be just one Pokemon available, and that will only be a Patrat. Interesting bit of trivia, this is the only route where Ordino is unavailable in the Rustling grass throughout the whole of Unova, so you won't be able to grind easy levels off this on the first route, but Route 20, it's available, but I'll cover that in a future video. Now, once you obtain Surf later on in the game, there will be another Pokemon you can find here, as well as a few more items available to be grabbed. I'll explain the items in just a moment, but that one Pokemon you can find is going to be Basculin, and in my honest opinion, I'd just recommend avoiding this as using as a member of your team, as water is such a prominent type in the Pokemon series. With this, there comes much better water Pokemon you can obtain throughout the game. Basculin is also the only Pokemon you can find if you surf into the rippling water. In the aftergame, after you obtain the Super Rod in New Town, there will be a couple of Pokemon you can capture by using that Super Rod in the water. One of them is Basculin, but the other is Poliwag, and I do like this Pokemon. It's not the greatest Pokemon in the world, but it has good physical attack and is quite speedy. It comes packed with a pretty nice move pool, and while it isn't the most formidable Pokemon in competitive play, it is actually quite fun to use. If you use the Super Rod in Rippling Water, there'll be three Pokemon you have the possibility of encountering. One of them is once again Basculin, the common surfing / fishing Pokemon, but also Poliwag's evolutions, Poliwhirl and Politoed. Poliwhirl is next in line in Poliwag's natural and original evolution chain, and in that case is very similar to Poliwag. Once exposed to a Water Stone, you will have the added advantage of a fighting subtype, and while you have added weaknesses to Flying and Psychic, it will still pack a punch with a great physically minded move pool. Overall, I quite like Poliwrath. If you get lucky with the 5% encounter rate while fishing in the rippling water, you will encounter a Politoed, which is lucky for completionists who have no way of trading, as you would normally have to trade with a King's Rock to even obtain Politoed. This is more specially defensive than the original Poliwag line, and is maybe inferior if you're taking long game trainers, but its different stat coverage maybe opens up more possibilities in competitive play. So if you play it correctly with perhaps a Rain Dance strategy, it is very, very formidable. As there are no trainers to take on this route, I will go straight into the items found here, and there are 5 available. 3 of them only available once you're able to surf. These 5 items will be appearing on screen now, so I'll just let them explain themselves right now. While Route 19 is a basic route, I hope you found this interesting, or at least entertaining. If you want me to keep this series in its natural order, by going through Route 20, etc, etc, or if you want me to stray to more complicated routes with more Pokemon, more items, stuff like that, let me know in the comments. Feel free to visit my channel. I'm doing a Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke, you might be aware of that right now. A link will be in the description to me. And until next time, peace out.